Hello and welcome back to my channel if this is your first time here. Hi, I'm Cassie. If it's not, thanks for always tuning into my videos. Today we are playing a round of my TBR game, Snakes and TBR Stacks, which is a TBR Snakes and Ladders game. But instead of playing it for me, I've just done a round from the top of the board to the bottom of the board, however rolls it took me to get there. And I'm going to give you guys recommendations based on the prompts we land on. I just thought this was a fun way to get some recommendations in. I'm trying to pick some older recommendations too of books I've read so that you're not just hearing the same books again and again and again. So without further ado, let's get right on into the video. 3. 1, 2, 3. Our first prompt got us representation. So for this I chose The Black Coast by Mike Brooks. The Black Coast follows the town of Blackkeep that know one thing: when they see crows, that means the raiders are there. But this time when the raiders come, they're holding a white flag, they're seeking asylum, and it follows their two cultures blending together. I've talked about this book very recently on my channel, but I just couldn't not because I really liked the way that they talk about the representation in this. It's two different cultures, one believing that being gay is a sin still, which is wrong, and the other one's trying to teach them to accept it. I really liked the way they did that. There is a bunch of representation in this too. We got queer characters, and yeah, I really enjoyed this, and I can't recommend it enough, especially if you are a character-based reader, because the characters in this are chef's kiss. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A new book. And our second prompt got us new, which I feel like I'm cheating on this because it's really hard to give you a new recommendation because obviously I haven't read it, but I'm going to give you the recommendation of The Bone Ships by R.J. Barker. This is a recent add-on to my TBR, and I have a book club where we will be reading this in February, so this is my recommendation. Read this with us in February. The Bone Ships follow two nations at war, and they have for centuries made their ships out of the bones of dead dragons, but something happened and the dragons disappeared, and all of a sudden a dragon has been spotted in the sky centuries later, and it becomes like a chase to get to the dragons because whoever gets the bones of this dragons will most likely win the war. I'm expecting seafaring goodness from this, and if this sounds interesting, I will link the book club announcement video, and I would love to have you there with us. I feel like this is slightly cheating choosing my book club book, but there we go. 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. A dark cover. And then we got dark cover, so for this one I'm going to give you Rage of Dragons by Evan Winters. I read this about 2 years ago. I don't know how I haven't read the sequel yet. I love this book. This is a military revenge fantasy, high epic fantasy. We are in a world where 1 in every 2,000 women has the power to call down dragons, and 1 in every 100 men is able to magically transform himself into a bigger, stronger, fasting killing machine. So in this book, you are following Tao, who is a lower class, and he's kind of just been stepped on his whole life, and the upper classes are kind of, upper classes and not very good to the lower class. So something happens and he sets himself on a quest for revenge and to prove to everyone that he can do everything that they can do. He ends up joining the military and dedicates himself to this unthinkable path just to become like the best soldier ever, and you're really just following his struggle, his revenge struggle, and the concept of him becoming the best. He is not a happy protagonist. He is a grim, dark protagonist. You don't like every choice he makes, but that's what makes him human, and I really felt for Tao in this. I remember the ending of this book being a shocker, and I really wanted to get to the next book, and I still haven't got to the next book, so I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm gonna take my own recommendation and read it soon. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Chance. And our next roll got us Chance. So it says change on the board, but I just can't spell, and it's Chance. So I have a handy dandy little cup, my little bumblebee cup, and I have a bunch of books in here. And again, I'm just picking you one. I probably haven't read it, so it's just a recommendation of Chance from here. There's a lot of books in here. Hall of Smoke. I have read this, but I DNF'd it, so we're doing another. Whatever this one was that fell on the floor. I can't give you a recommendation for a book I DNF'd. The Runa Kings, which I have also read, and I literally love this. I promise you, I am not making this up. The Runa Kings, I rave about all the time. I don't even need to talk about it. I'm not going to talk about this. I just love this series. I'm currently reading the third one, so read that. Wow. I wanted to pick books that I haven't talked about a lot on the channel. The next... Editing Cassidy here because wow, I really didn't talk about that book. So if you're new to my channel and you haven't heard me talk about the Runa Kings follows Kieran, who finds out that he actually is the son to one of the high families that like runs things, and that he's a prince, and it follows his journey, and it's told in two different perspectives. So it's told in Talon telling Kieran's story a year before, and then Kieran telling a story where we start, and Talon's story eventually meets up to Kieran's story, and then Kieran's story meets up to present day, and then there's an overarching narrator. It's really just told in a really fascinating way. There are gods, there are prophecies, there are demons, there is a lot. It is very convoluted, but it is so good, and I highly recommend picking this up. Back to the video. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Extreme weather. Next prompt was extreme weather. I'm going to give you a couple for this one. A more recent one I read is Half a King by Joe Abercrombie. I had been telling everyone this is a polar fantasy. I'm going to say it's not, but I'm still putting it for extreme weather because they go from nice weather to stormy seas to a frozen tundra to a like hot desert back to like normal weather, all in the 300 pages of this book. So it's extreme weather. Half a King follows Prince Yarvi, who is the second son to the king, but he was born without a hand on one side. So in this kingdom, they really prize like being a fighter. Their king has to be the best and strongest fighter. But since Prince Yarvi can't really hold a shield with his arm, he has never really been a good fighter, and he is looking into pretty much becoming a monk. It's not called a monk in here, but that's kind of what they are, where something happens and his dad and father die, and he now has to regain the throne that he has never wanted. It's honestly a really good book of found family, and it's an adventure. It's really fast-paced. Joe Abercrombie's writing is very dry though. Like, if you want flowery writing, this is not for you. It's very to the point, and I really enjoyed that, but I know some people won't. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. I read it this month already, and I gave it 4 stars. And one more for extreme weather is Sand by Hugh Howey. This is one of my favorite dystopian books. It's only about 250 pages. It's really good. We are following a family where their kids are, their dad left them, and their mom is a prostitute trying to like make ends meet, and so they've kind of just been on their own, and they make their money through sand diving. So the world is slowly being covered in sand. So all the buildings you know today have been buried under thousands of feet of sand. So people dive down, almost like scuba diving, to find the hidden treasures of the world and sell them. And just like scuba diving, like there's dangers to it. Not everyone can do it. Some people are better than others. When our main character, whose name I can't remember, stumbles into something a little bit bigger than himself, and you're just watching him try to save his own life and survive and figure out what happened to his dad and why his dad left. I really enjoyed this one. This one's fun. 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Time. Our next prompt was time. So for time, I haven't talked about this book in a really long time, but it's one of my all-time favorites. I'm going to give you Recursion by Blake Crouch. This is a sci-fi. And here, cue the cat crying. This is a sci-fi, and I can't tell you that much about it without spoiling it. It's like a sci-fi thriller. What if in the world you woke up and you had different memories in your brain of a whole life you've lived before? That's what's happening in this world, and people keep killing themselves because they've woken up and being like, I remember this life that I lived. This life I'm in right now is not the one I'm supposed to be living. And we follow our detective trying to figure out what's going on, why people are getting these memories. And there is a very big impact of time during this book. We do a little bit of flash forwarding and back, and I can't really tell you more, but it's really good. The audiobook is incredible. Highly recommend. read it. Another one I'm going to recommend is Stephen King, The Long Walk. This is one of the only Stephen King books that I like. This one, it just happens in a constrained amount of time, so that's why it's on here. And we are in the Long Walk. You're following a boy who joins the Long Walk. So what the Long Walk is, a bunch of people join and then they have to walk until they're the last one standing. You have 3 warnings, and on your 3rd warning, you're shot. So if you stop for more than like 30 seconds. So people are pooping their pants, peeing their pants. Like it's a dystopian and it's kind of intense. I really, really liked it. It's definitely, again, with Stephen King, the ending isn't my favorite ending in the world, but I really enjoyed the journey and the heartbreak you feel for these people as everyone around them is dying. So yeah, gonna put that one on there. And if you win the Long Walk, you get like whatever you ask for. And 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And the last one we got was a flip a coin. So let's flip a coin. I like that I do this, but I never have a coin around me. Here is my handy dandy cup of goodies. A book published before or after 2010. Okay, I don't have a coin, so this little compass thing is going to be my coin. What did I say? Star after, black before. Star after. Oh, that's kind of lame. I kind of wanted before. We're going to go with another all-time favorite of mine, Elantris by Brandon Sanderson. Elantris follows the city of Elantris that used to be filled with like godlike creatures. They had these magical powers. They were beautiful. But then something happened and like a plague comes and makes them all die off and like sickly. And what happens in Elantris with this plague is now we're a couple hundred years later or whatever. And we're in the country of Arelon, and we're following Prince Rowadin, who gets this sickness. What happens if you get the sickness is your body never heals. So if you stub your toe, that toe will be stubbed forever, and you'll always have this pain. And so when people catch the sickness, they are put into the city of Elantris and kind of just like been shoved in there and been like, you're on your own now, don't give it to us. So you follow Prince Arelon, his new fiance who is just coming in a political marriage. They've never met. When she arrives there, obviously things have gone wrong because Rowadin is now in the city of Elantris locked up and she is a widow because they're like presumed dead now. And a religious priest. Lots of politics, a lot of religion, and you're really following the world building. My favorite paragraphs were Rowadin's as we were kind of learning about what this plague really is and what it's doing to them and how to fix it and why it happened. And then with the other 2 characters, you are following all the politics going on, and it's just so good. This is like, if anyone, one book for you all to read. It's my favorite Sanderson, and I feel like it gets looked over all of the time. It's very different than his other works though, so if you have tried his other works and didn't like them, I suggest trying this one because it is definitely more character driven than the rest of them. And there is a romance in it that even I shipped hard. And there we have it. Those are my recommendations based on my TBR game. I hope that you enjoy some of the books that I recommended to you. If you have watched this entire video and you want to leave a comment but have nothing to say, leave me a lion emoji. I don't know, I'm just feeling lionness today. Anyways, I'm going to put some videos on the screen that I think that you would enjoy. Have a wonderful day, guys.